This is Grand Canyon Village, one of the few communities in the world to have been built on the edge of a massive abyss. In this case, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Millions of tourists a year will visit the cliff-perched village to peer inside the canyon. Few of them will realize that this one-of-a-kind community is actually a year-round home to nearly 2,000 individuals. Most of the village will never be seen by those who do not call it home, and therefore remains a village unseen. Today, most visitors to the Grand Canyon Village see only the historic district area, as the first tourists did at the dawn of the 20th century when the railroad arrived. Tourists can still travel the 60-mile line from Williams by train, but most are unaware of the extent of the community they are arriving in. Because the village exists within a national park, it does not subsist as an official town. Having a population of 2,000, however, means several basic services are found here. This includes a bank, post office, and general store. Despite a minor discount given to residents at the store, locals still pay exorbitant prices. Because of its remote location and recreational nature, the community also maintains a full-service medical clinic. Although specialty care and dental services are not found here, the facility serves thousands of patients, both local and out of town. Police, fire, and emergency medical services are very present here, as is a small courthouse. Not far away, sitting next to what appears to be agricultural equipment, sits an obscure building, a jailhouse. Here, both unruly tourists and locals have been known to have been detained. While some cities in the U.S. use civil defense sirens to warn residents of tornadoes, in Grand Canyon Village, air raid type sirens are used to warn people of encroaching wildfires. Some devastating fires have been known to have set ablaze to entire towns within minutes. Here, rapid evacuation remains a constant possibility, especially during the hot, dry, early summer. Two church buildings are found at Grand Canyon, one of which is multi-use. Next door sits the cemetery, where much of the community's human history lies buried. Though mostly historic, the burial ground is still occasionally used for those who resided in the village for several years. Among the historic graves of canyon pioneers here stands a large memorial over a mass grave. This spot contains the remains of victims involved in a mid-air collision over the canyon in 1956. At the time, this was the worst civilian aviation accident in U.S. history. One of the most unique aspects of the village is the school. Grand Canyon is the only park in America that has its own K-12 system within a single school campus. Students here attend class Mondays through Thursdays, thereby getting 3-day weekends. The loss of a Friday is made up for in other ways, and the reasons for shorter school weeks relate to costs and isolation. So Roger, you live and work here in the national park. Does that mean you work for the Park Service?
No, I actually work for one of the concessionaires. Every national park has one specific company that takes care of all their hotels, their restaurants, everything else.
So you do pay rent. It's pretty affordable. Can you tell me about your housing here?
Yep, this is my little efficiency. Basically, you have a one-room apartment with the kitchen, bathroom, and in this case, a closet.
Do all of the employees that work for your company have housing like this?
No, actually, these are, you have to have special single status, which is sort of a privileged position, being an interpretive guide. I have the option of having this, which I wouldn't have taken the job otherwise. And most people, unfortunately, have to have roommates. Most of the employees probably do not have it this good. They'd have to share an apartment like this with one other person.
Roger was correct in his description of diverse employee housing. Usually, one's job dictates whether that person lives in a shared dormitory, apartment, or as some managers do, actual houses. Some of the area's original inhabitants, however, lived at an oasis located a few miles inside the canyon called Indian Garden. After the park was established in 1919, the government forced these people, known as Havasupai, to relocate to a sanctioned camp within the village area. While some argue that the standard of living has increased for these people, the case of forced removal nonetheless remains controversial and rarely told to visitors. Another seldom told episode of the village's past occurred in the 1960s when a nearby uranium mine wanted to expand its operation. The orphan mine had begun as a copper claim long before Grand Canyon became a park. This allowed the current operators to mine within a national preserve. When denied permission to expand the mine, the company proposed building an absurd hotel in place of the mine on the canyon's edge. This quickly drew public outcry, all anticipated by the company. In 1962, the Orphan Mine Bill was signed, which permitted the mining to continue for a limited time in lieu of the giant hotel. Today, mining within the park has ceased, but certain areas remain contaminated and off-limits. Hikers who intend to camp within the canyon will visit this building, the Backcountry Office. Few visitors realize, however, that this magnificent building originally had another intended purpose. In the late 1990s, work began on a proposed light rail system that would have connected Grand Canyon Village with the town of Tucson a few miles to the south. This would have allowed visitors to park vehicles outside the park, then utilize mass transit to and within the park, which in turn would help reduce congestion and pollution. Though a system of using transit buses was implemented, the light rail system was never completed, and today the only reminder may be defunct signs like the one found here at what would have been Maswick Station. So Roger, where does your tap water come from?
That comes from the other side of the canyon, about 16 miles away, from a triple waterfall called Rolling Springs. And we've never had water here. In fact, we used to get our water delivered by train. So we have it coming through a pipe that breaks quite often, unfortunately. And it's supposed to be pretty good water, but just to be safe, I filter it anyway.
How do you feel about living in such an isolated place where the nearest major town is nearly an hour and a half away?
Actually, the housing could be a little better, but other than that, it's not bad. We have a nice little library that's not too far away. Rec center isn't too far away. That has quite a bit in it. And it would be nice if we had a better, cheaper grocery store, maybe a couple other stores, but it's good enough. It helps that you have the canyon right nearby. It's just the main drawback is having to go 80 miles away by car for your groceries.
So you came here to take advantage of this amazing natural wonder of the world. I'm curious if your neighbors and coworkers share that enthusiasm you have.
What I find here at the canyon, and I don't know if it's really unique or not, you get a real mixed bag here. I think you get a few people who are enthusiasts for nature and being outside. I'm one of those. But you get a lot of people here, I think older people who probably, at their age, they couldn't get a job anywhere else. And here you have inexpensive housing, so they're able to survive here. And you get a lot of people who are locals, who this is an employer, and they just come out here to work. Maybe because they can't get jobs anywhere else, or I don't know. It's a real mixed bag. I think most of the people are not avid outdoor and hiking people.
Concessionaires, like the one Roger works for, often recruit workers from Asian and Eastern European countries to fill jobs American workers are unable to fill. Isolation and low pay are reasons given by American employees who have contributed to an exceptionally high turnover rate. In its current form, Grand Canyon Village is well over a century old and will undoubtedly exist for many more. Although not an official town, it is in every sense a community to those who live and work here. Despite the park experiencing record numbers year after year, this fact will continue to elude most tourists.